What's happening, YouTube? This is Champion 2D Rob back again, guys. How's everyone doing? This is my first video of 2023. Feels a bit weird to say Happy New Year, but Happy New Year anyway, even though we're well into January at this point. But Happy New Year, everyone, guys. Yeah, first video, brand new start. I don't know where I plan to take things with my channel this year. I definitely want to put out more content. Sorry, excuse the noise, but I do live by a main road, so you're going to hear cars and all sorts outside. Yeah, I'd like to. I definitely want to work on my content more this year, but probably the thing I want to do the most this year is to be at more events. Now, I actually say that every year. It's not easy. You know, various factors come into it when it comes to traveling around the country and going to different events, but I definitely would like to go to a lot more. Just not so much for the markets and stuff. I don't really have that kind of craving to buy a lot of stuff now. It's just really I want to meet up with people. I want to meet up with other people in the community. They're so much fun. The times when I do go to events, it's always great to meet up with YouTubers. It's always a laugh, you know. It can be, you know, I think for a lot of people in the beginning, when you've not you don't know anyone at first, it can be quite nerve-wracking, but once you break the ice, you know, and a lot of people turn out to be, you know, really cool people and not a bunch of nutcases, it's actually a great experience. And you know, I definitely want to take advantage of it more, you know, because you never know where life is going to take you in the future. So while you're here right now, you know, to try and take advantage of it. So that's really my goal for 2023, is definitely to try and meet up with YouTubers a lot more. Great people, especially some of them, you know, some people I would definitely call my friends, you know, get on famously. Great people. But yeah, so this is a bit of a delayed vid. Essentially, this is all sort of limited release stuff that I got last year. You know, there's so much of it, actually, to be honest with you. I've actually missed out. I've still got loads of other games that I've received from limited print companies like Strictly Limited, Limited Run, stuff that I've yet to show because just never got around to it, and it all kind of began to stack up. So this is some of it. It is pretty much Switch and PlayStation 4. So I'm sorry it's not retro, guys, but that I will say this though, there is a video coming up. I think I'll make it my next video. I will call it the Lost Pickups, because essentially it's going to be stuff that I picked up going as far back as 2021. And I just have never shown in a pickups vid, and it's all retro. It's all retro, no modern stuff, guys. So no Switch, no PlayStation 4. It's all retro stuff. So that video will be coming very, very soon, guys. I actually have bought one retro game the other day. I'll tell you. I won't tell you the game, but I'll tell you what console it was for. It was for the Master System. A system that I absolutely love, got a proper soft spot for it, and I do love picking up the occasional game for it, and I actually picked up, in my opinion, a bit of a belter, so I will show that in due time. But for now, yeah, so this is going to be just all the limited release stuff for Switch and PlayStation 4 that I've received throughout the months of last year, and one game which I treated myself just before Christmas. So moving straight into it, I think I'm going to start with some super rare games. So I've got a couple of titles here. I could have sworn I had a third one. That's really annoying. That is really annoying. I could have sworn I had a third game. But anyway, so I'll start with this one. And this is a really, really good game, guys. Honestly, like, please download this if you can't get a physical copy, because it's no longer available to buy. You'll have to resort to eBay to get a physical copy of this. But So that's really up to you, but otherwise, I highly recommend you at least download this game on the eShop. I'm not sure if it's available on other systems, but it's on the Switch, and that game is Grapple Dog. So Grapple Dog is a 2D side-scroller action platformer. It's a lot of fun. It has like a swing mechanic which works really well. Don't let the graphics put you off. It does seem like a very kiddie looking game, but it's got a great game mechanic. The gameplay in this is top notch. It looks kiddie, but it really isn't. It's a really sophisticated action platformer, and I highly recommend people do check out Grapple Dog. So yeah, it's an awesome game. Really caught me by surprise, this one. I remember when I first saw it announced by Super Rare, you know, I didn't really pay any attention to it, and then I don't know, one day I decided to look up some gameplay. It actually looked quite interesting, so I then eventually actually bought a digital version, and I found myself having so much fun with it. It was so good. I was quite shocked, and I'm actually really happy that I took the chance on it. So luckily for me, I was able to grab a physical copy at the time of its release. So yeah, lucky to grab this one, because I would have been disappointed if I'd missed out on it, because it's a really, really good game. So yeah, happy with that. And the next game here from Super Rare Games, and this is one that I actually didn't know much about. Super Rare announced it, and as usual I looked up some gameplay, and it definitely looked like my cup of tea. And that game is called Webbed, and this is sort of like, again, it's kind of like a platformer, sort of. It's a 2D game, except you're a spider, and because you sort of fire webs to sort of move along, so it's sort of physics-based platforming, and it just looked really interesting, so I wanted to pick it up. So definitely look up Webbed as well, guys. It's one of those sort of games that will just go under the radar for a lot of people, and I definitely think it's worth taking a look at. Maybe worth getting a digital copy as well if you see it on the cheap. Definitely worth picking up. So it's quite chuffed to get that one. So that's it as far as Super Rare Games, and I think I'm going to go into all the limited run games. So first one I have here, and this one is called Phantom Breaker Omnia. And what this game is, guys, this is a 2D beat 'em up, a 2D fighter. As you'd expect, very anime-based fighter. It looked fantastic from the gameplay I saw. It reminded me of like games like Arcana Heart, that kind of game. So yeah, definitely wanted to pick this one up. You know, it's a fighter. You know, there's not really much to say. It's a 2D fighter. If you like 2D fighters, then you know this is definitely one that would sort of, at the very least, get your interest. Next one I have here, and this is actually a collection. Again, it's from Limited Run, and this is Valis, the Phantasm Soldier Collection. So this actually has 3 games. It's got Valis 2, and Valis 3. And I believe they're they're ports of some Mega Drive games, or Genesis games, because the Valis series never really got a PAL release. And I think the PC Engine as well. So it's a series of action platformers, and I like my action platformers. I actually do own a Valis game. I own Super Valis 4 on the Super Famicom. I remember playing that for the Super Nintendo and actually really enjoying it. It's kind of Castlevania-esque. So I've got that on the Super Famicom and I quite enjoy it. But I've never played the other games in the series, so I thought this was a great opportunity to check out some of the other games, so I picked that one up. I also do have the second part. There is actually a second collection which I have on pre-order. Okay, next one from Limited Run, and this is a game that I already own on the Wii. Very enjoyable game, and the game is A Boy in His Blob. This one is just a fantastic puzzle platformer. Really lovely 2D graphics, and I enjoyed it on the Wii, and I thought it was a great opportunity to own it for the Switch as well. I may decide to move on my Wii copy actually. It goes for quite a bit now, but yeah, just a really nice game to have. I do enjoy puzzle platformers, and this for me was a very enjoyable one, so it was worth rebuying for the Switch. Another game here is called Astalon Tears of the Earth, and this is a game that caught my attention because it just had a really lovely 8-bit NES style to it. It's essentially a exploration action platformer, very much in the Castlevania, Metroid style. I'm trying to avoid saying Metroidvania. I know that kind of it does piss some people off when you say Metroidvania. I don't really care, but like I really want to call it how it really is called. It's exploration based action platformer, and it's done in a really nice 8-bit style. Looks really cool. I think you play as 3 characters. Yeah, just a really nice game. Again, I think this one's a bit of a gem from what I've heard. A really cool one here, again I got from Limited Run, and that is Dawn of the Monsters. And this is a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and it's all centered around kaiju, so basically giant monsters. And of course, this is not a Godzilla title, but a lot of the characters that you can select in this game are all inspired by Godzilla characters and stuff, and it's really cool. It's just a very different style of beat 'em up, but it is a beat 'em up. It's a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up. Definitely my cup of tea, and I've heard lots of good things. I've not had a chance to play it yet, just because I've been busy playing other games. But this is definitely one I look forward to giving a try. I was eagerly waiting for this one because I did not want to download it. I wanted to wait till I get my physical copy, so really chuffed to finally have this one. And the next game here is called Ender Lilies, and again this is another action-based explorative 2D action platformer. Again, very much Metroid style, and it looked fantastic. You play sort of like as this sort of ghostly little girl, and I've heard nothing but good things. This game looked amazing, so yeah, glad to finally add this one into the collection as well. And the next few games here are again from Limited Run. 2 of them are for PlayStation 4. So the last Switch game from Limited Run here, and it's actually a double pack, and that is Luminous Avenger. I think it's Luminous Avenger X2 and Kogan Sword of Rewind. So it comes in a double pack. Now, when they announced this, I found it kind of odd because both these games are actually each game is been made by a different developer. There's no real connection to these games aside from the fact that they're both 2D action platformers. So I guess I can see why they decided to release them together, because they're both very similar in style. They both take very heavy inspiration from the Mega Man X sort of games, and but aside from that, they were developed by 2 completely different teams. But they're awesome games. Both of them are awesome. I've played the demo of Kogan actually. Very hard, very tough game. But Luminous Avenger is actually part of the Gunvolt series of games. So yeah, looking forward to giving these a go when I get around to it, because there's a lot to play. That's the other thing as well, guys. I will be making sure that I spend more time this year playing more games as opposed to buying games. That's really something I want to change this year. I'm going to be very selective with my purchases this year. I think probably the only thing, sorry, I'm just veering off on a tangent here, but I think that what I do want to do is, aside from maybe PlayStation 4, I'm sort of trying to grab PlayStation 4 games that interest me now while I can, because eventually, prices will start to rise and stuff, because we're in a new era of consoles now. So I mean, the PlayStation 4 I think has still got about another year or 2 left. But that's really where sort of I'm sort of trying to pick up on a few games aside from the Switch. But I definitely want to dedicate more time to playing games this year as opposed to buying games. So I'm really going to put an effort on that and enjoy some of these titles. I mean, some of them I have played already. I know some of them are sealed, but there are a couple here that I do own digitally and have already tried and played them. But you know, I have to go physical. Sometimes it's just the way it is in this sort of current climate of gaming. It's a lot of the times, you know, the digital version comes out, and then you have to wait, you know, up to a year or even more for a physical copy. So it can be hard. The wait can be long, can be very hard. So sometimes you just want to play the game while you can. So anyway, moving on from that. So the last two games here from Limited Run, and these are two PlayStation 4 titles. And the first one here is Windjammers 2. Yeah, I went for the Limited Run version. I know it did get a retail release, but the reason why I opted for Limited Run is just because the first game I have for it, the original Windjammers, is a Limited Run release, and I just sort of wanted to have a matching set. You know, just stupid collector mentality. So don't pay attention to me, like, you know what I mean, like, you buy whatever you want. But that was just my train of thought, and that's why I went with the Limited Run version. But I've yet to play it, but I love the original. The original one's fantastic. So hopefully this is an all new game, whereas the original Windjammers was an updated port of an old arcade game from the early 90s. This is just a brand new game, but done by the developers that worked on updating the original, and they did a great job as well. So I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. And the last game from Limited Run, again PlayStation 4, and that is of course Castlevania Requiem. So this basically has Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood, two fantastic Castlevania games, two of the best in the series. I personally would have loved to have had this on the Switch, but it doesn't seem like there's going to be a Switch version of this, so I'm happy to at least have it on the PlayStation 4. I opted to go for the standard release because while there was like a collector's edition, I think it was like an Uber collector's edition, I personally didn't think it was worth it. The goodies in there I just didn't think it justified the price. Not even the sort of collector edition, the classic edition with the sort of NES style box. I didn't feel what the stuff that came with it really justified, you know, the double the price. So I decided to just go with the standard copy. I already have this digitally on my PlayStation 4. This was just really for my collection because I love Castlevania. It really is, like, you know, one of my favourite all-time franchises in gaming. So I had to have a physical copy of this, and these are two awesome games. Please guys, if you're not really that familiar with Castlevania though, I definitely recommend Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night. Two amazing games, and they actually follow each other. So Symphony of the Night is the sequel to Rondo of Blood. Okay, so moving on, we have some games from Strictly Limited. So I have here, I've got one from Red Arc Games as well. Actually, I'll show you the Red Arc Games one. So again, this is for the Switch, and the game is 8 Doors, a Ruins Afterlife Adventure. So this is again another you see the theme here, guys. I do very much enjoy 2D action exploration platformers. So 8 Doors is another Metroid style game with a wonderful art style. Please look this one up, guys. It's got an awesome sort of black and white art style to it. Really caught my attention. It looked fabulous. Definitely one to take a look at, guys. If you can't get a physical copy of it, you know, I think physical copies might still be available for this at the time of this video. But yeah, it looked awesome. So definitely worth checking out, guys. And these are from Strictly Limited now. And next game here, again for the Switch, is Gym Power, The Lost Dimension. So this was actually originally a Super Nintendo game, and there was supposed to be a Mega Drive game, and I believe there was supposed to be an NES game, and I think both of them were cancelled. Or I think the Mega Drive version was cancelled, and the NES style game was actually built from the ground up recently. So weirdly enough, this does not have the Super Nintendo game. It has the cancelled Mega Drive game, and it has the I believe it's all new NES style game. And the Mega Drive version is okay. It's essentially a 2D platformer. It's run and gunnish as well. But I actually prefer the NES style game. It's the one that actually drew me to this collection, and it looks fun enough. Might not be everyone's cup of tea, but for me it was worth checking out. So yeah, you got the Jim Powell games. So like I say, only thing that let me down about this was the fact it didn't have the Super Nintendo game. I don't see why it should have had it, but it's a real shame. And lastly, for the well, not lastly, I've got one more thing to go, but for the from Strictly Limited, and this has been a long time coming, guys. Like, I've had to wait close enough to 2 years for this release. So this was from Strictly Limited. Now, Strictly Limited are notoriously known for being very slow to put out games. Now, in this instance, I can kind of understand, because they did state at various points that they were having some issues. It's basically a compilation of games, and they were not just putting out the games, they were actually adding stuff to it, adding in-game content to it to try and improve it, make it better. And there's also some updated versions of certain games as well. So it was a bit of a wait. It also comes with a ton of goodies, so I did have to wait quite a while for this, but it's finally here. I'm really happy. And what I got was the Turrican Collector's Edition. So this comes with a whole heap of goodies, guys. This was the outer box that it came with, and there's also an inner box, and of course the games itself I will show you in a moment. But because there was so much stuff, you couldn't actually fit it all in the main box. So this outer box that came with, if I open it up very quickly, it actually does come with some goodies in here. It comes with an art book, and I believe there's some more stuff in here. But then that aside, this is the main collector's set. So in here you've got stuff like pin badges, the soundtrack. What's really cool is it also comes with a Blu-ray, which has the documentary on the making of Turrican and stuff like that, which for me was a real selling point, as well as other stuff. And of course I have both games here. So these are compilations. So the first one here has Turrican, it has Turrican 2, it has Super Turrican, Super Turrican Director's Cut, and a Mega Turrican Score Attack. I'm not quite sure what Score Attack is. I haven't tried that one out yet, but you know, you can't go wrong with this collection. And the next one has Turrican 3. It has Mega Turrican. It's got Mega Turrican Director's Cut. It's got Super Turrican 2 and Super Turrican Score Attack. These are all the Turrican games that you need. Really excited to finally own this. And this was, for me, way better than getting the standard Turrican collection that came out a while ago. I do own that as well for the PlayStation 4, but for me, why I wanted this was for games like Super Turrican 2, which is one of my favourite Turrican games, which was not on the other Turrican collection. So really chuffed to get this collection finally. So long, such a long time coming. But yeah, just awesome 2D action run and gun titles. If run and gun gaming is your thing, if you grew up with the Amiga, Mega Drive or Super Nintendo, you know, or the NES, then you'll be familiar with the Turrican game. So very happy to finally have this one. Awesome set of games, and it's an awesome collector's set. I will say about Strictly Limited though, their collector's sets are phenomenal. They really are. top level stuff, and yeah, just very, very happy to finally have this one in my hands. So move that to one side. And the very last thing here, and this is just something I treated myself just before Christmas. I wasn't planning on getting it, so I did not actually pre-order this. I just went on the website. Fortunately enough, it was still available to buy, quite luckily enough, quite frankly, and it was from Pix and Love, and this is the PlayStation 4 version of Blazing Chrome, the collector's set. So I already own Blazing Chrome collector's set from Limited Run for the Nintendo Switch, and I absolutely adore Blazing Chrome. It is just hands down one of my favorite games on the Switch, and it's a 2D run and gun title, very much a love letter to the Contra series. It plays like Contra, it looks like the 16-bit Contra games. It's amazing. I love it to bits. I'm a big Contra fan, so for me this was just a perfect love letter to it, and I was very happy that I was able to acquire the collector's set for the PlayStation 4. I don't normally like to double dip, but certain titles like just that really click with me, you know, I want them for both systems. So really chuffed to get this collector's set from Pix and Love. You know, it's designed to look like a Super Nintendo game. It's a little bit larger than the Super Nintendo box, but it's a nice one to have. It's got some nice goodies in here. You've got a soundtrack in here as well. So yeah, just if you want to sum me up, guys, in terms of this sort of era of gaming, Blazing Chrome for me was one of the standouts for me. Absolutely love it. So really glad I was able to get this, even though I did not pre-order it. I just went on the website, Pix and Love, it was available to buy. So guys, I highly recommend you pick this game up, whether it's for the Switch or PlayStation 4. I believe it is still available to buy, not just collector's editions. There are standard copies available as well on the Pix and Love website. If you missed out on the limited run version, Pix and Love is where to go if you still want to get it at an affordable price. So, or if you just can't manage it, get it on the eShop, or just get it digitally, however way you can, guys. But definitely check it out. It really is a fantastic game. If you love Contra, you will enjoy this. It's an awesome game. So that is it, guys. That is pretty much well, it's not all of it. There's still a lot of other limited print stuff I haven't shown you guys, but I'll show that in due time. But anyway, guys, thank you very much if you watched the whole video. I very much appreciate it, guys. And of course, I always do like hearing you guys, your views and opinions, so please do so in the comment section below. Always love reading your comments, guys. I am trying to respond to people's comments, but sometimes it's really hard to respond to everyone's comments just because time doesn't always permit. It can be quite mad, but just be aware, guys, I do read everyone's comments, so it's always nice to hear people's views and thoughts on what I've shown and whatnot. And also let me know, guys, what you think of some of these games. Do you have some of these games? I'd like to hear from you guys. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will be back very soon. Like I say, I've got that Lost Pickups vid coming very soon, so stay tuned for that. I think if you're all retro heads, which I know all of you are retro heads, but you'll definitely enjoy that one. So stay tuned, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.